I'm going to be talking about the optimal recovery program for soccer athletes. First, I want to give you some background information so that you can see why it is important for these athletes to recover properly. For elite female soccer players, the number of competitive matches per year has increased in the last decade. The distance covered during these matches have increased from 5.3 miles in the early 1990s to 6.4 miles in 2005. Looking at Vanderbilt's monitors that they wear during activity and games, they are exceeding this amount, so it is crucial for these athletes to get a proper recovery program. The cause of these athletes being so fatigued is because of the physically demanding activities they place upon themselves during the games and practices, like sprinting, changing directions, jumps, tackles, dribbling, shooting, and passing, which leads to dehydration, glycogen depletion, muscle damage, inflammation, oxidative stress, and mental fatigue. Studies show that for proper restoration, these athletes must have proper nutrition, cold immersion, and a good night rest in order to properly recover from the strenuous activity. For these athletes, they also need proper nutrition. These techniques like rehydration, carbohydrates, and protein consumption after a match are effective recovery techniques for replenishing water and optimizing muscle damage repair. In order to maximize the effectiveness, it is important to have the right amount and replenish at the right time. In order for the athlete to resynthesize their muscle glycogen stores, they need to consume a high glycemic index carbohydrate at the end of the match. They need to continue this for up to 5 hours at a 15 to 60 minute interval for maximal restoration of muscle glycogen. Protein consumption post-match will help the reduction of muscle soreness and decrease creatine kinase in myoglobin. Studies have shown that omega-3 fatty acids, curcumin, tart cherry, and tomato juice will help improve the recovery process because of the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. I found a study that shows why chocolate milk is the best route for protein consumption after intense activity. In this week-long study, there were 13 male athletes that either consumed chocolate milk or a carbohydrate beverage post-exercise. They tested these athletes during practice using the T-drill and vertical jumps. They were also told to describe their level of soreness using a scale while performing daily activities like walking up or down stairs. The scale ranged from 0 to 100. 0 is no muscle soreness and 100 is impaired movement due to muscle soreness. Then athletes were asked, how do you feel right now, to figure out their physical fatigue, physical energy, and mental fatigue using the same scale. Immediately after practice, the subjects consumed one of the 2 recovery drinks within 5 minutes of completion of this session. At the end of the study, they concluded that chocolate milk post-exercise resulted in significantly lower serum creatine kinase. Cold water immersion. The reason why cold water immersion is so optimal for the recovery process is because it reduces blood flow to the legs, arms, and arms, reducing blood flow from the periphery to the core, improving venous return and cardiac efficiency. It also reduces cell necrosis, neutrophil migration, cell metabolism, and nerve conduction velocity. Immediately after a match, athletes show decreased muscle soreness in the quadriceps and calf at 24 hours and hip adductors at 30 minutes. Temporary recovery of strength was shown 24 hours post-immersion. Temperatures for the cold tub should be between 48 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the athlete should stay in the tubs ranging between 10 to 20 minutes post-exercise. This is shown to be beneficial for anaerobic performance like maximal strength, sprinting, counter movement jumping, Studies show that cold water immersion immediately after exercise was beneficial for next day running performance than waiting 3 hours after activity. Sleep is very important for the athlete's recovery process. A lot of collegiate athletes have trouble balancing school, health, sleep, and their sport. But it is very important for them to get the right amount of rest for their body to recover properly. Sleep loss is associated with reductions of muscle glycogen content and chronic sleep restrictions, which may lead to an increase in soreness. Because the athlete is already consuming a high GI carbohydrate post match, this will help them with the influence of sleep. Cold water immersion will also help promote sleep because of it reducing body temperature. Most athletes are told to drink plenty of fluids the days leading up to the match to stay hydrated, but a lot of them hyperhydrate, causing them to use the restroom during their sleep cycle, disturbing their sleep. It is also important to refrain from drinking alcohol or caffeine before a game because that will also lead to sleep disturbances. A nap followed by 30-minute recovery period will help improve the athlete's alertness, mental, and physical performance. In conclusion, chocolate milk should be given to athletes at the end of competition within 5 minutes post-activity to reduce muscle soreness and to improve function. A meal containing high GI carbohydrate and protein should be consumed by the players within the hour after the match. Diet should include omega-3 fatty acids on the day of the match and following the days after the match. Sleep is the essential part of the recovery process. It is the important factor when it comes to mental fatigue. Cold water immersion is useful in order to regain initial level of performance and to repress the inflammatory process. Active recovery, stretch, compression garments, massage, and electrical stimulation is lacking the ability to accelerate to the initial level of performance, and further research for these are needed. Here are all the references and information that I used. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at my email address listed below.